We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for coming to my class. I am super excited to talk about putting up your audiobooks on YouTube. It's one of my passion things right now. I've just been having a blast doing it, so I'm really excited to share with you all the benefits and the great reasons why it's awesome to do this. So first things first, feel free to take pictures of my slides if you want to, or this is being recorded. If you want to re-watch it, that's fine too. This is my email address. If you have any questions that don't get answered here, feel free to email me and ask me. I'm happy to answer your emails and answer your questions. We will be mostly talking about audiobooks on YouTube today, but if you don't have any audiobooks, don't stress. You don't have to get up and leave. I will be talking about some of the other content that as authors we can put up on YouTube and start getting a following over there on YouTube. If you've done all your audiobooks through royalty share, through ACX, you will need to wait till that 7-year contract is done before you can get out of that royalty share. And there is a process for it. You have to email them, and there may be a buyout depending on how much money that's made and stuff like that. So you'll want to check into that if you've done royalty share. If you are just starting out and you haven't created any audiobooks yet, then don't do the royalty share on ACX, because that will lock you into a contract with them and you'll have to be exclusive with them for a while. So that's my advice there. Let's talk about why we should upload our audiobooks to YouTube. One of the biggest reasons I like on YouTube is they have this massive section down the bottom where you can just add all the text that you want to add in there. They are not like super possessive of what you put in there. So you can put your links to all of your books in there. You can link to your Patreon account. You can link to your website. You know, they don't care if you're saying, here, try me out here on YouTube and then follow me all these other places. Go buy my books these other places, which is really nice that you have control over all of that content that you give them. And it's a really long word count you can put in there. So that's really nice. Another thing I really love about YouTube is these are a few of my books that are up on YouTube. My biggest book, Accidentally Married, has 367,000 views. This screenshot was taken a month ago, so it's grown since then. My two other books that have done really, really well, Mistakenly Married, has 128,000 views. A Marriage of Anything But Convenience has 97,000 views. So you can, if you have a book that takes off on YouTube, you can really gather a lot of views and a lot of fans from YouTube. Why did Brandon Sanderson's Kickstarter bring in $41 million? Number one, he had a ton of fans. This is a fantastic place on YouTube to gain a ton of fans because you're putting your work out there for free, and the cost of entry is really low for all those readers out there, right? They can try you out for free. And if you're putting up really good content, your channel will grow. Number two, his fans trust him. So they've read his work, they enjoy his work, and they trust him. And he wrote 4 secret books. I don't know if you followed him, but he wrote 4 secret books during the pandemic. He didn't even tell anybody the titles or what kinds of books they were. He just said, I wrote 4 secret books. If you want them, go to Kickstarter. He made $41 million without even telling anybody what he wrote, because they were like, take my money, because they love him, right? So that's what we want to do as authors. We want to gain those super fans that just love our work no matter what. And so they're willing to just shell out any money for whatever we write, right? Another reason I love being up on YouTube is all of the fantastic comments that people make on my books. A lot of people, for some reason, type into YouTube that they want to fall asleep to something, and so they find my book, which is kind of a bad thing. But I get comments like, this was supposed to make me fall asleep, but it kept me up all night long. Warning, not good for falling asleep too. I was like, yes, I did that. But this is fantastic. I'm also getting comments on my books. One person said, wow, this was like a movie in my head. And I was like, you've never read a book before, have you? Holy cow. So I was so flattered that my book was their very first book they've ever read. So I am bringing in non-readers to me, and they're becoming fans of me, which is so fantastic. So this is a month old, so I didn't update this, but this is my estimated revenue from YouTube. This is from ads being placed on my books. So what I do is, after you're monetized, you can go into your book and you can place ads where you want the mid-roll ads to land. And I just put an ad in between every chapter. So I figure if they're hooked by the end of chapter 1, which they should be, right? All us writers, we should hook them by the end of chapter 1, then they'll keep listening to the ads and keep reading the book. And so I've made over $21,000 just in this last year on YouTube. And I really haven't spent any money on advertising. The only advertising I've done is I've done some newsletter swaps with other sweet romance authors, and I've done some TikToks, and that's been pretty sporadic. I am not good at TikTok, so I don't do them every day. So that's all the advertising I've done, and you can see the longevity of this, how it's just stayed steady throughout. And that spike at the beginning is when I had 14 audiobooks already done and produced, and I was putting them up every 3 days. That's what gave me the nice spike of income when I first got monetized, is I was really consistent with putting my books up. Then I ran out of content, right? Because we can't write a book in 3 days. So I started putting up some AI versions of short stories and things that I had done. So that did settle down in my income, but I make about $2,000 a month just from old content, right? This is content I've written years ago that was just sitting on Amazon, not doing a whole lot, not bringing in a ton of money. And this is money that's just coming in with me just having it up on YouTube, which is fantastic. So the potential for YouTube is massive. Mr. Beast is the one that made the most money last year. He made an estimated $54 million on YouTube. I mean, that's amazing, right? Massive potential. Compare this to Amazon. There are 2.6 billion registered YouTube users. There are 300 million registered users on Amazon. So the potential for YouTube is huge, right? Most of us make most of our money on Amazon. But just think of what you can do if you mine what's there on YouTube and utilize it. Also, what I love about YouTube is the analytics they give you are amazing. And I'm kind of a data nerd, right? So I like to go in and look at all this data, and they give you so much data. I wish Amazon would give us this data, but they give you the top geographies of who is listening on your channel, age and gender of who is on your channel, when your viewers are on YouTube, so you can figure out when's the best time to maybe do a YouTube live on there, other videos your audience has watched, other channels that your audience is watching, videos of yours that are growing your audience, your top earning videos, key moments for audience retention. So it looks at the first 30 seconds of your video and who is still watching after 30 seconds. And I have my top one is 88% of my people are still listening after 30 seconds. Traffic source type, so it tells you where they're coming from within YouTube. Also external traffic source types, so I'm getting 29% of my viewers from Google searches. So they're coming in from outside of YouTube, which is fantastic. So all of this data and more is available on YouTube. So I want you to just think for a minute, what if you treated YouTube like your primary source of income and your other secondary sources were everywhere else? Your number one fight on Amazon is visibility. It is a crowded space right now. And everybody, it's pretty much pay to play to be seen on Amazon, right? We have to pay a ton of money to get our ads up there to be seen on Amazon. What I found on YouTube is once it decides your video is liked by people, it will show it over and over and over. And the longevity of YouTube has been amazing for me. I have not seen a downward trend other than when I first stopped putting my videos up regularly. I saw that downward at the beginning, but then it's been really, really steady for me. And I would say right now I'm putting up a video probably once every 2 months. I've taken some of my backlists that I haven't made into audiobooks, and I'm getting new audiobooks created. I've also every once in a while put up a video of me talking, and we'll talk about that later too. So let's talk about how to monetize your channel. There are a few rules, and then there's some suggestions that I have for how to monetize and make it the best channel you can. There are some minimum requirements to meet. And I would say publishing consistently helped me meet my minimum requirements. I was done in about 30 days. I was able to monetize in about 30 days after putting up my work consistently. And so my son was the one who told me every 3 to 4 days, if you can put something up, that YouTube really likes those algorithms. And he's kind of a YouTube guy, so I listened to him, and he was right. That really helped me. And then you have to gain the subscribers and watch hours, and you have to follow the rules. So there are some rules on YouTube. Don't stress if your book goes outside of those rules and you can't monetize directly on YouTube, because I do have some suggestions of what you can do if you cannot monetize your book on YouTube. So the minimum requirements are you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. I got my watch hours really fast because my books are, 5-6 hours long. And so people were listening to the entire thing, and I was gaining my watch hours quickly. So I think it took about a week or 2 to get all my watch hours. It took about 30 days to get all my subscribers. And I would say the best thing that I did was I sent it out to my newsletter. I have about 10,000 people on my newsletter, so I asked them to subscribe, and then I sent out some newsletter swaps with other authors, and that did help me get subscriptions. What I did was published every 3 to 5 days, full audiobooks. I did try one of my books posting chapter by chapter just to see if having those consistent posts every day would help me gain even more viewers and more subscribers, but I found it didn't work for me. Now I do know another author writing serials who it's worked very well for him, but my books are not written that way. And so I write sweet romance, and so it didn't really help me. What I found was when I put up a single chapter, it would get maybe 100 views in the first 24 hours. If I put up an entire book, I would get a couple thousand views within the first 24 hours, and it would grow from there. My single chapters, I would find maybe one would do better than the other, so I might have 600 views on one of the chapters, but it didn't boost the rest of my chapters. So I knew I was just getting views of people clicking off. They weren't going to listen the entire thing, because you don't listen to chapter 10 and none of the other chapters, right? So I knew it wasn't helping me grow my channel. So for me, I didn't like posting single chapters. I liked posting the entire book. So because I had a nice backlist of 14 already pre-done books that I already owned all the rights to, I was able to get that consistent posting and really make my channel profitable when I was able to monetize. You do want to teach YouTube who would like your videos. So I would suggest shout out to your most popular video to your fans on social media. If you shout out just your general channel, then you're not focusing in on that one video that you want to rise above the rest and really bring in a lot of people to your channel. When I focused on one video and sent that out to all my fans and then out in the newsletter swap to other people, I really found that focused effort really helped my entire channel, just focusing on one video. And definitely do newsletter swaps and things like that. If you do not have a large backlist of audiobooks, don't stress. There are other things you can do to gain traction on YouTube. Like I said, what I did when I ran out of full audiobooks to put up, I started using an AI voice to do some of my shorter works and keep that content going. It was about Christmas time. It was last December when I got monetized and when I kind of ran out of content. So I found a couple short Christmas stories that I wanted to put up with an AI voice. I used a program called Mic Monster. The pro version will allow you to use it commercially. And here's one of my short stories that I put up with Mic Monster Pro, and I thought, oh, people are going to hate this. It's a computer reading it. Maybe I'm not going to get very many views. But I have 31,500 views on it right now, and this was a month ago. And I've earned over $393 on it, and that's just with the Mic Monster Pro voice on there. So Mic Monster Pro is $134 one-time fee, and then you can use it for the lifetime of the program. You can also read your own book on YouTube. Nathan Lowell did this, not on YouTube, but he went on a podcast and read his own quarter share books, and he had massive success doing that. Got a really fantastic following and sold a ton of books just by going on and reading on a podcast. So you can do this as well on YouTube, and a lot of people like the author actually reading their own work, which is really fun. I did pay a consultant to talk to me about how to grow my channel, and one thing they told me is I had all my audiobooks up, but I didn't have any videos of me, and she said, you need to post you on YouTube as well. Let your fans get to know you. Tell your story, why you started writing, share your writing process, share your beliefs and hopes and dreams, because people subscribe to people, not content. And so that was one of the suggestions she had for me. So this is something anybody, any author can do, is go on and start sharing you as an author on YouTube. Some other videos you can make, you can post extra information, maybe read deleted scenes from one of your popular books, or write an extra scene and read that. Share background information on a character, or you can talk about upcoming books that you're working on. To be monetized, you do need to follow the rules. If you break the rules, your channel could be demonetized, even if you didn't know about the rule when you broke it. So here is a QR code that will lead you to a page that has links to all of the rules and guidelines that YouTube has. There are 3 different set of rules and guidelines that you need to follow in order to stay monetized on YouTube. You need to follow the YouTube's community guidelines, you need to follow terms of service, and the Google AdSense program guidelines, because that's how you get paid through monetization, is through Google AdSense. And if for some reason the QR code isn't working for you, you can just Google YouTube monetization policies, and that's how I came up with this link. It was one of the first things that came up. Community guidelines, there are just a few that stood out to me as important that writers may not know about. One of the ones is Spam and Deceptive Practices Guideline. So they don't want any fake engagement on your channel. They don't want you to go out and pay somebody on Fiverr to just get you a ton of subscribers and a ton of engagement in order to monetize. So be careful about that. Be careful about how you're getting your people to your channel. Be aware that there is a sensitive content guideline and a violent or dangerous content guideline, and I'll talk about that in the next slide. So these are the rules I think apply most to authors. There is a sexual content guideline. If you have sexual content in your book, what I would suggest to do is either use YouTube as your first free book in the series, right? Put your first book up for free, and then tell everybody if you want the rest of the books, you can go buy them on all the places that you have your audiobooks, or you can put all your audiobooks up on Patreon, and they can support you over on Patreon, and you can give them that content there. There's a graphic violence rule, Now, just be aware that these rules are for YouTube, which is a visual medium, right? So we're talking books here, so I would guess they're going to allow a little more with books than they would with actual videos of what you're showing, right? So if you have really graphic content in your book, that is subject to maybe not being able to be monetized. They're working with all these people who are paying for ads, and they want to please all their customers that are paying for these ads. So that's why these rules are in place. They do have a vulgar language rule. Again, what I would do is put up one book if you have vulgar language in it and say, here's my freebie. If you like this taste of this, come follow me here or buy my books or whatever. They also have a hate speech rule, so you want to watch out for that. Now let's talk about demonetization, because when I first started putting up all my books on YouTube and I got monetized and I was so excited because all this money was coming in, somebody told me, well, wait, what, didn't someone else put their books up on YouTube and they got demonetized? And I sort of freaked out because I was like, oh no, I don't want to get demonetized. What do I need to do to not get demonetized? So I did a ton of research and I hired an expert to tell me what I need to do in order to not get demonetized. And this is what I found out. Most often, the reason for getting demonetized is for having reused content. What they're assuming is if you have your books out there on Audible and all the other places, if you put that out there first and then you put it up on YouTube, they just assume that you ripped it off of Audible and you're reusing that on YouTube. And it's actually a protection for us, if we think about it, that they don't allow people to monetize that, because then just anybody could rip any book off of Audible, put it up on YouTube and start making money. And this would be a major problem for us authors. So it's actually a safeguard for them to demonetize if they feel like you're stealing someone else's content. It is important to note you cannot monetize someone else's content even if you have permission. That's one of the rules on YouTube. So it needs to be your own content. You cannot monetize content uploaded by other creators. So what you need to do is go on YouTube and make sure that no one else has ripped off your Audible book and put it up on YouTube. And if they have, send a takedown notice. That's really important. If you get demonetized, and I will say I was demonetized for 48 hours, you will need to make an appeal. I appealed, and they gave me back my monetization 2 days later, and they even paid me for those 2 days that I was down, because they kept the ads going on my stuff. So if you get demonetized, read all the appeal information. Most likely you can appeal through a video right away. They will allow you to go in and click in the monetization area, and it will give you all the instructions for how to make an appeal video. When you create your video, they will want your channel URL within the first 5 seconds. So either say it out loud or I just edit it up on the screen of my video. And then you make your case. They want you to tell them why you're appealing, why you're not reusing someone else's content. So what I did was I appealed to them and said, I am the author of these books. You can see my face on Amazon. I did update my picture on Amazon so it looked like the current me, and so I could prove that I was the author of my stuff. And I did, just for a safeguard, I did take my stuff down off of Audible just to prove that I was the author, because I was making so much more on YouTube than I was on Audible that I just wanted to let them know, I am in control of this on Audible. So I took it down off Audible. You don't have to. When I talked to the consultant, they said, you do not have to be exclusive to YouTube. You just have to prove to them that you are the owner of the content you're putting up. And once you prove that to them, they will let you monetize all of the books, and you can keep them up on Audible and everywhere else. So the number one way to prove that you own the content on YouTube is to be the first person to put that up on YouTube. If you treat YouTube first as your first place to put your audiobook, and then you can publish it everywhere else, you will have no problems whatsoever on YouTube. Before you upload any videos, these are my suggestions of what I would do. I would send takedown notices of all pirated copies of your audiobooks that are already on YouTube. Make sure you claim your copyright on all of them. Update your author photo on Amazon and on your website, so if you need to make an appeal video, which many authors have had to do that, that you will look like you. If you're using a pen name, it really kind of depends on if it's a secret pen name or if it's a pen name that everybody already knows it's you. So that gets a little tricky if you don't want your author photo. What I would do in that situation is show on your appeal video your author dashboard, and it'll show all your books under your pen name as well as your other names, and you can prove that you are the content owner of that by showing your dashboard. You don't want to show them your driver's license on the YouTube video, the appeal video that you make. That goes against the YouTube rules, and they will shut down your appeal video. So you don't want to do that. Number 3, I would record a short clip explaining why you're putting your audiobooks on YouTube. So YouTube can see your face, and you can explain that you are trying to get the word out about your books and sharing this freely on YouTube. What I did with my pen name is not a secret pen name, is I put it up on my website as one of the headings, and I also I have a link to YouTube, all my audiobooks on YouTube on my website, so that if anybody has any concerns that this isn't me, they can go to my website and see, oh yeah, she's putting her own books up on YouTube. So, number 1, when you make your appeal video, point to your website, point to your Amazon author page, point to any author interviews you've done on YouTube that show you are the author of these books. Show your author dashboard, your ACX dashboard, maybe even your website dashboard on the video to prove that you are the owner of this content. If your appeal is denied, I know a few authors that have had this happen where they've appealed and their appeal was denied. You can appeal again, don't worry. You may have to wait 30 days to appeal, but YouTube wants to make money from you. They want you to comply with all of their guidelines, and so they're going to give you chance after chance to fix whatever they think is wrong and apply again. So I haven't known anybody that's just never been able to, you know, appeal a second or third time. They always want you to just fix it and then appeal again. So just read the rules really carefully. See if there's anything that you may have violated by not even knowing you were violating it. Address the reason why you were denied in your appeal. Specifically address their reason that they gave you, because they will give you a reason. Read the entire process for the appeal again and follow all the steps, and show everything in your video. Show them how you made your video, because they want to make sure you are the one that created that video and didn't just rip it off from somebody else. So show that. Here are some specific tips you can do for your YouTube channel. There is a thing called Super Thanks. It is in the back with monetization. Once you're monetized, you can turn on Super Thanks and people can send you money just randomly as a thank you. That's awesome. But you have to make sure you turn that on. So once you get monetized, go in the back and dig around for Super Thanks and turn that on so that people can send you money. The more comments you get and the more you comment back, the more YouTube really likes that interaction. So if you get a comment on your book, as long as it's a positive comment, go ahead and say thank you for listening and interact with them. And even if people say things like, well, I didn't really like this narrator's voice, or I didn't like the AI voice, what I do is I comment back and say, oh, you can buy the book over here on Amazon, and then you can, you know, read it in whatever voice you want. So you can take a slightly negative comment and turn it around into a positive and teach them where they can go to buy your other things. Negative comments, if you get really negative comments, you can delete them, which is fantastic. We can't delete our negative reviews off of Amazon, but you can go and delete anything you want off of YouTube. So this is great. This is really your space, and they make it super available to you to put whatever you want up on your space, which is nice. If you get somebody continuing to comment negative things, you can hide that user so none of their comments ever show. And they don't know if you're hiding them. They don't know if you're deleting their comments. So you don't get nasty trolls coming after you. You can also go in the settings, and in the community place, you can do automated filters. So if you get people commenting the same thing over and over again and you're tired of it, you want to make sure those specific words are not showing up. You can put those in the automated filters, and then it will hold those comments for review. You can go in and periodically look at those and approve the ones you want, or you can just leave them in there, and after 30 days they'll just delete out of there. So that's really nice. Don't be afraid to try new things. The consultant that I talked to said that you can't break your channel by trying new things. So try some YouTube shorts. Try some Instagram reels, try some TikTok videos to get people over to your site. Share what makes you unique, because it's not going to break your channel. But one thing they do caution you about is you want to put up content that is attracting the same kind of viewer every time you're putting up content. So if you want to share writing tips and things that would appeal to writers and not readers, I would create a separate account for that. That way you're not confusing your audience with I'm appealing to writers and I'm appealing to readers. So don't mix that kind of content, but try new things as far as anything that you feel would appeal to your reader audience. So one of the things the consultant told me is you need to understand your target audience. Who is this person? What do they want? Why can't they have what they want? And what's at stake if they don't get it? This looks really familiar to us as authors, doesn't it? This is shamelessly pilfered from Tim Schmoyer's, AKA Video Creators. I thought this was a fantastic concept for trying to figure out what type of content I should put up on my channel. This person that's come into your channel is at point A. They want to get to point B, but they don't know the path to get there. They could need something educational, like my computer won't send this email, or maybe they're bored and they need entertainment, which is probably mostly what people coming to our channels will be. Maybe they have a 3-hour layover with nothing to do. So what you need to do to gain subscribers is to create a value proposition. Finish this sentence. Subscribe to my channel because blank. Don't answer with just what you do, but why you do it. This pulls in that emotion. So the best way to gain a lot of subscribers is to figure out what your audience wants and give it to them. Put up that content that fills that want from your target audience. And this is how you get a lot of sales too. Let's talk about Patreon for just a minute, because many people who are on YouTube all the time are really used to YouTubers saying, go support me on Patreon, right? That's what a lot of YouTubers do to make their extra money. So Patreon is a really great way to do this. What is Patreon? It's a website that allows fans to support artists in an ongoing basis. So you can set up to be paid monthly or per creation. In exchange, fans get special content, VP treatment, or anything else that you set up. So content authors can give. They can give commercial-free audiobooks, which is what I have up on my Patreon. The lowest tier level is if you want my audiobooks and you're tired of hearing all these ads that are on YouTube, go support me on Patreon. And you can give me a few bucks and you can listen to my audiobooks. They get exclusive Patreon content that you set up, either short stories or novellas that you're putting up, background information on stories, personalized messages that you're giving them, content for authors. If you want to do a higher tier for authors, you can offer classes or writing tips, or you can give them early access to books and stories and audiobooks. So some of the benefits of Patreon, there are no upfront costs to you. It doesn't cost anything to sign up to Patreon and set this whole thing up. So you set up the tiers and the benefits, and there's more freedom to post your content. They don't have all these content guidelines and rules like YouTube does. YouTube viewers are used to creators having Patreon accounts, and so it's really an easy step to get people to follow you over to Patreon from YouTube. You can connect with your super fans. Patreon allows you to have more personal connection with those people that really love your work. So they're willing to give you a few extra dollars a month to help you create, and you need to go in and give them some support and give them some fun content that they're the only ones getting. So right now on my second tier on Patreon, I am putting up my unedited, here's what I wrote today version of my next book that I am putting out, right? And so they get to read it first before anybody else. Patreon costs, the Lite is a 5% commission. What you get with that is hosted creator page, Patreon communication tools, and Patreon workshops. This is the one I have, which is the Pro version, which is an 8% commission. You get everything in Lite, and you get membership tiers, you get analytics and insights, special offers, promo tool, creator-led workshops, unlimited app integrations, and priority customer support. And I mostly did Pro for the tiers and the unlimited app integrations. And then there's a premium, which is a 12% commission. You get everything in Pro, and then you get a dedicated partner manager. You get merch for membership and team accounts. And merch is another thing you can do to gain just a supplementary income if you have extra stuff that you want to give those super duper fans, right? All right, I'm at the end, so I can take questions from you guys. Thank you. Yes?
Do you also do the writing gals?
Yes, she asked if I do the writing gals, yes.
If you have a question, go ahead and use the microphone.
Oh, that's really great.
So that people in the stream can also hear.
Hi. Hello? Okay. So I was wondering do you think that your success with the Writing Gals and that YouTube channel being what it is, do you think that actually has helped your, is your success with doing the book part related to the fact that you actually also have another successful
I
YouTube?
actually don't think it is related to me being in the Writing Gals, because that's such a author type situation where we're trying to get authors to watch, and this is for readers, and so it's really a different audience. So I'm going to guess that my success on YouTube doesn't have much to do with me being in the Writing Gals, and I really didn't advertise my YouTube channel on the Writing Gals or anything like that.
So my question's about the tech. You know, when it comes to, because we're talking very large files.
Yes.
Video files. So two questions, basically. One is, you're able to put one file up, one video file that is 10 hours long, and they allow you that large an MP, is it an MP4?
Yes, it's MP4, and what I did was I turned down the bit rate on the video part really low, so
Okay.
like 1 bit rate. So the video quality isn't that great, but they're not really watching it anyway. So I made it really low, and so that made the gigabytes really low. Mine are usually about 5 or 6 hours,
Okay.
and usually about 2 gigabytes is what I shoot for when I'm creating the video.
And that doesn't affect the sound at all, the audio?
No, it doesn't affect the sound
Okay.
at all.
And then, what do you have up for the video? Like, what's the
That's
content?
a great thing. I didn't include that in here. So what I've done is I've done 3 different things. When I first started, I just put a static cover image, which is tall rectangle, and it looked bad because there was black space on either side.
Sure.
That's what I did when I first started out, because I was dumb and didn't know what I was doing. And then I decided, let's make an image that fits the whole rectangle, right? So I went into Photoshop and created this cool image for the book cover.
Okay.
And then what I did was I found a program called Motion Leap on my iPad. And that will take a still photo and create a little video of it. So you can add a little butterfly, or you can add snow falling, or something to your static image, and that creates this thing that you can just loop over and over and over again.
Sort of a Ken Burns type kind of feel where it's moving on its own. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So that's what I do normally now.
Okay.
It's called Motion Leap.
Great. Well, that was one of my questions, but I did have another, and you kind of answered this, but I have a already monetized YouTube channel that is for shorts, and it has kind of a conglomeration of TikTok shorts and my family stuff, weirdness, but it's monetized, and it has 16,000 followers. Do I really have to create a new one for my audiobooks?
You don't. What I would do is I would start putting your audiobooks up on there and see how well they do on that channel that's already monetized.
Okay.
If you're just not getting the views and you can't go anywhere with it and being monetized isn't helping any because it's not getting the views, then I would create a new channel, take it off, take your audiobooks off of that
So
one.
take it off of that one and move into the
start
other one.
another one. But I would try the one you have right
Thank
now
you.
because you can't break what you already have, right?
Yes.
So I would try it and see if it takes off and if it goes. And then you may want to pull down your family stuff that's not really into what readers might want.
Okay.
And
Okay,
just
thank
kind
you.
of hone your channel down.
Right, thank you.
Yeah.
I have two questions. So if you already have an MP3 file of your audio files, is there a conversion process for turning it into an MP4? Is this just something I should YouTube?
So what I did was I used Premiere Pro, which is an Adobe product. That's kind of, I don't know, there's a bit of a learning curve for that program. There are other cheaper or free programs you can use. I would just go out and Google programs to create a video. And what you would do then is they have two tracks, one for the audio and one for the video part. And you just put them both together on that one thing and it'll create your video out of that. So Premiere Pro is what I've been using, but like I said, it's a little technical heavy, I guess.
Okay.
And so there are other easier to use.
Okay. So my second question is about my Steamy Romance pen name. Doesn't sound like it would be great for YouTube, but what would you think about recording all the non-steamy parts and then saying something like, "This is where the sex scene would go"?
Yes. Oh, you totally could do that. Yeah, you could totally, censor yourself and then say, for the full book, go over here to Patreon or find it on Audible.
And would you ever consider filming yourself actually reading the book out loud and just doing that as your MP4 video?
Yeah, you totally could do that. That
Okay.
would work great.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, thank you for your talk. I just did my first Google AI audiobook, and I set it up with artwork from the book as a movie on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
But it was a free ebook, free audiobook, and now it's free on YouTube. Have you seen any issues with putting up a free video using the AI audiobook files if it's a paid-for audiobook? I talked to the Google people, and they didn't have a clear answer about that.
So mine aren't done with Google. They were just created and put up just on YouTube. So I'm not quite sure if there's any conflict there.
Okay.
I'm going to guess there's not going to be any conflict because it's your work, and so you probably own that. But yeah, that's something you'll have to get with Google and kinda
Okay.
dig
It sounds
around
like the
and
jury's
find out.
still out on
Yeah,
that.
jury's still out on that.
Okay, cool.
Sorry.
Hi, my question is about closed captioning. Obviously, for audiobooks, that's not really super important, but I know that a lot of people watch videos without really listening to the sound. So I don't know if you use closed captioning on your videos where you're talking about yourself, and if you have any kind of suggestions for closed captioning apps or anything like that.
So YouTube will put up their own closed captioning on stuff, but it's like computer generated, and so I don't know how fantastic it works. There is a way to go in and put in the closed captioning on YouTube.
Okay.
For a whole book, that would be really time intensive. So I haven't done that. But if you wanted to do that, there is that option. You can do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
We have a question from the online stream. Coleman Chase asks, I'm a thriller writer with lots of cursing in my books. Would bleeping them satisfy the YouTube no vulgarity guideline?
I bet it would. Yeah, I would say yes. Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm a science fiction author, and you said that you put ads at the end of each chapter, and I'm just wondering what kind of ad would a science fiction author?
Oh, you don't get to pick the ads. YouTube
Okay.
will do it for you.
Oh, okay.
But I have found some people have told me that on my books, there are ads like Audible makes ads for YouTube, and those show up on my books, which is kind of funny.
Thank you.
So, yeah, you don't get to choose.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys, we are out of time. Thank you so much for coming to my class.